Hello, everybody. So, MercadoLibre reported its Q2 2023 earnings, and they are absolutely outstanding. So, nothing else to see except outstanding stuff. So, what's going on with MercadoLibre? Well, first, let me look at the strategic metrics, right? Strategy precedes revenues, right? How can we define strategy for MercadoLibre? Well, they're an online marketplace. So, strategy for them is how much stuff do they sell and to how many people and how much volume do they have. So we can see the volume has grown 47% year over year, right? The amount of items sold, each unit sold, has grown 18% year over year. And this is a company that's very popular with 47 million unique buyers this quarter, and that's has increased by more than 1 million, almost 1.5 million in one quarter. So this is a company that's adding 4 to 5 million new customers each year, and slowly growing and scaling in Latin America. We can really capture the mega trend of e-commerce, which is earlier on in Latin America, but they are setting themselves up to capture that mega trend of people shifting from buying in face-to-face retail store to buying online. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of customer right there. Moving on to the fintech, let's not forget that when we buy MercadoLibre, we buy both a fintech and an e-commerce platform. The fintech is obviously smaller and newer, but their fintech strategically is doing very, very well, with the transaction volume growing at 69% year over year. And you can see the sequential growth from quarter to quarter is also great. Note how MercadoLibre always puts Q1 next to Q2, Q1 23, Q2 23 for just about everything they report, which means that this is a report that's not trying to hide anything. Sometimes companies will compare with last year to try to hide a deceleration. This company is not hiding anything. There is no deceleration in the business. It's grown tremendously from Q2 to Q1 in both their fintech division and their e-commerce division, and which is why when we get to the slide that I care the most about, because as you know on this channel, I care about product adoption. I want to invest in companies whose product or service is getting adopted and showing clear sign of that S-curve, clear sign of that product adoption curve. When I look at a stock like MercadoLibre, I am just reassured and so pleased with what I see. If you see the sequential growth between Q1 and Q2 was 12.5%, while they had been flattish between Q1 and Q4. Makes sense, because Q4 is usually a stronger quarter, Q1 is usually a slow quarter. But if you look at the pickup in growth right now, that's been absolutely outstanding. If you annualize that growth, you get to 60% revenue growth instant annualized. So that's a tremendous amount of growth, well above the 30% minimum threshold of revenue growth that I have for my stocks. Please note as well that the revenue growth is outstanding even in constant currency. It's noteworthy that this is not constant currency, this is US dollar. But even in constant currency, the growth has been outstanding. In Brazil, their most mature market, they're still growing at 23%. Mexico is where a bunch of the growth comes for them now at 45% year over year, over countries like Chile, still decent, pretty close to 30%, and Argentina is growing at 156%. Now let's remember, this is in Argentinian peso, right? So the peso has about 100% inflation a year, so the real number, if you want to get it, really subtract 100 from there roughly, and you're growing at 50% in Argentina. That's absolutely stunning to me. I am very, very pleased with how well this company is doing. And I will finish with this. So really quickly, the gross margin, I'm not going to do a focus on the gross margin. They increased gross margin by 1% for 49 to 50%. As far as operating margin and net margin, you may know that for my style of investing, it matters less, because I don't want to get any cash out of the business, right? I want them to reinvest everything in the business. My goal is that MercadoLibre is this big today and 10 times bigger in the future. And by the time it starts trading on the basis of net margins, I want to be out of the stock. So that's why I really don't care too much about margins that are below the gross margin line, hence why I only report gross margin. Note net margin and operating margin are excellent, very increasing, and I'll finish with cash flow. And I think this is very interesting for value investors right there. I mean, because this is a stock that was trading well above 1500s before this whole Fed tightening crash that we've had happened. And today I consider this stock very cheap. And look at how cheap it is. It's about a 63 billion enterprise value. Remember, we have to give them kudos for having cash on the balance sheet. So the enterprise value is a little lower, is a little higher, lower, sorry, than the market cap. So if you do enterprise value at 63 billion EV and you divide it by 5.7 billion, which would be their annualized cash flow from operations, you're getting at an 11 multiple now, an 11 multiple that becomes to be very good for a company that's growing this fast. So that's why I say value investors may take note here. And let's remember that MercadoLibre has a lot of tailwinds going on. One of the tailwind, as I've noted, and we should see this pickup in sales soon, is the bankruptcy of our main competitor. That's a big tailwind, but there's other tailwind in the sense that Brazil may actually start lowering interest rates. They may be the first of the big major countries to drop interest rates, and that's definitely going to boost the Brazilian market for them, which is their biggest market. I love MercadoLibre very much. It's one of my top 10 stocks. I always talk about it in my top 10 stocks video. This is to me a long-term hold. This is perhaps the company that's the most advanced in its adoption curve, and so maybe it's not a 10-year-old, maybe it's more like a 5-year-old. We'll see if they can keep these numbers, because at some point they will saturate their market, right? At some point they will be the full Amazon proxy replacement for Latin America. Keep in mind that Amazon is having a really hard time in Latin America. So is C Limited and a lot of other competitors. I believe MercadoLibre is well on its way to win the game of digital commerce in Latin America. Love the stock, love the company. Buying more at these levels, that's what I'm doing. So anyways, this was not investment advice. This is just entertainment. Appreciate your likes, appreciate your subscribes. Have a wonderful day.